Hey guys, Megan here. I just wanted to let you know this is going to be a part one of a two-part therapy session, as we are calling it, where we are talking generally in this episode about Captain Marvel, and then in the next episode we're going to be talking about women in superhero roles, specifically focusing in on the MCU. Now, the reason that we're talking about this is mainly because we just wanted to talk about this movie. We do not hate this movie as much as it may seem that we do. We do not hate the people working on this film. We just have some general critiques and ideas that we would have wished we would have seen in this movie. And then maybe in the future, the next Captain Marvel movie will be even better than this one was. And that is always the goal. We still love the MCU. We still love all the hard work and appreciate all the hard work that went into making this movie. So please bear with us as we talk about our general critiques and feelings towards this film. If you have any other ideas or feelings towards this film, please let us know in the comments. Just don't turn it into a screaming match or a yelling match. That's all we ask. We want this to be a civil place where we can talk about different opinions. We only represent a small minority of people who may not like this movie as much as the other movies, and you may absolutely adore this movie, and that is perfectly fine. But yeah, this is just a therapy session where we get to rant and rave about any movie that we may feel didn't justify the character or anything like that. Just bear with us, please be kind in the comments, and let us know your general feelings about the movie. We're always interested in hearing what you guys have to say, so thank you guys so much, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Viewers Club. My name is Megan.
My name is Tess.
And my name is Lukas.
And you are here listening to a brand new series that we're introducing to the channel. We mentioned that we so desperately needed to rant about some movies in our MCU ranking list, and we're here to do that. And today, our therapy session topic is none other than Captain Marvel. If you have not seen Captain Marvel, here's your brief synopsis, and then if you don't want spoilers to it, get out. So here's our brief synopsis. Captain Marvel is... farting noise.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. It was the story of Captain Marvel is the very first solo woman superhero film that Marvel introduced to us, and it followed, what was it, Danvers? Is that her name?
Yeah,
Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
Carol Danvers during the 90s, was it? 80s, 90s? I forget. Anyway, and her being a human that now has alien powers, and she's like the strongest person ever. And yeah, and the movie, in our opinion, was a big, loud fart noise. It wasn't good.
Oh my god.
We all have various reasons for it. And that's what we're here to talk about. It's kind of going to be freeform. We can rant about anything that we want to. Yeah. So does anyone want to start this off? Or shall I?
Where do you start?
I will start it off. Let's narrow in on the story first.
Okay.
The story. So if you guys don't know about the comic book version of Captain Marvel was actually a guy before this. Mm-hmm. And then it became Carol Danvers. So Carol Danvers then became Captain Marvel. I don't know much else outside of that. Captain Marvel is a very new superhero to me.
Same. But
this story felt so fucking rushed. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that. So the only other movie that I feel like comes close to how this movie makes me feel is, and I know you guys will disagree with me because it's based on our rankings, Thor: The Dark World, for me, and The Incredible Hulk fall in line with this movie as far as story goes. It, to me, did not feel like it was thought out at all. I feel like, personal opinion, I feel like they were like, oh shit, we don't have a female superhero outside of Black Widow, the Wasp, and Gamora, and we can't give any of them their own superhero movies, because why would we? So, let's put in somebody who could kill Thanos in like 2 seconds and then never use her.
Yeah.
Ever.
Ever again.
Have her
Ever.
get
punched out of the movie.
So let's talk about the story on that plot, because that is the thing that pisses me off the most about her.
Yeah.
She is basically the Superman of the MCU. Here's the thing. I have nothing against the actors who play Superman. That is not where my hate lies with Superman. I love the origin story of Superman in the comic book universe. If you want to hear about that, I suggest go look it up. But he was basically created during World War II to fight Nazis. And I love that story. I love it. I hate Superman because he's so OP, and his weaknesses show up randomly when the story needs it, and that is how I feel about Captain Marvel. I feel like she's way too overpowered, and then they realized, oh, she's overpowered.
She's too powerful.
She's too powerful. How do we make her have a weakness? And then she doesn't have a weakness, and she's basically put on the back burner for like the entire Endgame, the entire Infinity War. You know, it was just, I hated it. She was gone. It's
just watching.
Like,
she's like,
Yeah.
She's like actively hunting Thanos, and then she doesn't show up to kill Thanos.
Yeah, I wish they would have, like, grilled her in that scene where she was like, there's a lot of other planets that need your help. I wish they would have been like, name them. Name all of them right now, and name all of their crises. Tell me right now, what are the planets? Do it right now.
Do it. But, like, what is your guys... Like, talk to... why don't you guys do a little ranting about the story? And let's start with just the story first.
Tess, you want to go first? You want me to...
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree with Megan. It felt like not thought through. I don't know. It felt like all the cliches of superheroes, like, formula is just like there. And
it's like they went back in time to when superhero movies weren't respected. You know what I mean? So, like, let me give you an example. I don't know if you guys have seen the original Fantastic Four. With, like, Chris Evans and...
Yes.
Okay, so that version is the formula of original comic book movies, where it was more silly, not serious, and people didn't really take it seriously, you know? Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was kind of the introduction to
more serious.
A genuine attempt at making a serious one, and then Iron Man was the first real attempt on Marvel's end. When
did Batman Begins come out?
Before Iron Man did.
Okay.
I don't remember when. But that was like DC's. DC has always been pretty decent at making...
Like, yeah, serious.
They've had super silly superheroes, don't get me wrong. But The Dark Knight and Batman and stuff was their attempt at making super serious superhero movies. But, like, if we look at the formula for how they made the Fantastic Four with, like, the Chris Evans Fantastic Four, you know, it was super silly, super comic book-like, if that makes any sense. And that's what I felt like they were kind of doing with this movie, with Captain Marvel. It's just... was the worst.
It was so grandiose that it was like, I don't know, just too much overkill, maybe.
Yeah,
I think that lies with, like, character as
overkill
well.
for superhero. Is that
let's
is that a thing?
Let's stick with. I think that they can definitely do that. Again, it kind of goes back to Superman for me, because Superman is always impossible to figure out how to defeat him, and then somehow Kryptonite just shows up randomly anywhere when it's convenient for his story for him to have a weakness. And again, it goes back to the whole, like, Lois Lane is his weakness, and that's a stupid weakness. But we're not talking about Superman, we're talking about Captain Marvel.
Let's just change the title real quick. Therapy to Superman.
Cross out Captain Marvel.
See, with therapy sessions, whatever you're feeling.
It's a very open experience.
We don't judge that here. This is an open discussion.
Lukas, what do you think about this story?
Oh, man. I totally agree. I watched, when I was watching it, it didn't feel like it had anything behind it. It felt like it was just, like you guys said, like, this is the formula for a superhero movie. Let's come up with some sort of villain that this character can be against. Let's, it's like, and I get what you mean in how it's similar to the Dark World, because it's like, all right, the Dark Elves are the enemies, and they're kind of just like, all right, we have to reveal an Infinity Stone, and, and I liked that movie, but I understand where it felt like they wanted to introduce the character and introduce how she knew Nick Fury and introduce this alien species.
Right.
I just don't feel like it was executed very well at all. It just didn't. It didn't make for, in my opinion, an engaging story to like watch and want to watch again. And it felt like a build up to just really no payoff.
Nothing.
Like, what was the point? Like, you have, all right, this big thing at the end of Infinity War. It's like, it's gonna be Captain Marvel, and you're like, oh, okay, who's she? What's going on? And then you watch the movie, and you're like, okay.
No, it's nothing.
Disappointment.
So here's like the big thing I really hated. They were really hyping this movie up to be a feminist movie.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
That really, you guys remember when that was happening? They were like, we have a woman director.
Yeah.
It's Captain Marvel. She's dealt with like, you know. But it really pushed it so far over the top for me. Like, it was not a feminist movie. It was basically like, it had no payoff for me as a feminist movie.
No.
To compare it with a superhero movie that I think was a feminist movie, I think Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman.
Absolutely.
Was completely what I wanted for Captain Marvel, you know?
Yeah.
She was up against men who, you know, continually were like, oh, we're better and stronger than you, whatever, you know, but then she proves them wrong.
Yeah.
She takes them down. She still has a love interest, which is okay with me as long as it's done like really tastefully, you know, and it wasn't like a forced love interest or anything. That is what I think a good feminist movie is. It's like taking all of these things that people say you can't do and showing them, oh, I can do it. And I can do it 10 times better than you can. And I loved that. What I hated about Captain Marvel was like over and over again, there's these flashbacks of when she's a little girl or when she's like whatever, you know, and all these people are like yelling at her, it's like, you can never do this because you're a girl. And it was so
like
obvious.
Yeah.
Cliche.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? So the only one that I believe would actually happen, which I would have loved to explore more, was her being a woman in the Air Force during during like the 90s and stuff, you know. I was so down for that. I was so ready for something like that, you know.
5 minutes.
It's like, then it's like, oh, we're gonna talk about how she was a little girl and how like these people didn't think she could do anything because she was a girl, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you don't need to like, we get it.
But let's go back again.
But let's go back again.
In case
they
you
kept
forgot.
doing it. Like, once was totally enough. And then there was that whole, like, build up to her coming to her powers. And then she's had this whole montage. People saying, you can't do it. And then the soundtrack was so over the top, too. Where that big fight scene happens. And it's like the I'm Just a Girl or whatever thing is playing. I was so disappointed in the route that they took as far as, like, a feminist movie went. It just did not motivate me to be a more independent woman, you know. It made me feel like how some men feel, where they're like, I get it, whatever. You know what I mean?
Because I think there's such a big difference between it's like, because I feel like when it came out, it felt really weird, because it was like, all right, when you're talking especially with Wonder Woman, it's like when Wonder Woman came out, I didn't feel like there was this stigma of like, this is a feminist movie. Like, it was, but that wasn't that. I don't know how.
The main goal was
articulate
telling a
it.
good story.
Like, this is about Wonder Woman, right? Like, the story takes precedence, and the main thing is not, you know, this is a woman and she's doing it, and like, you know, but it's just like, okay, no, this character is doing this, and the fact that she is a woman and that she's doing this and doing all these things is what would make it a feminist movie. And it just felt like this movie had so much stigma of like this, you're like,
it really felt like a I hate men kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I got from the story. I just felt like, I hate men. Like, even her character was basically, I hate men. That's all I got from her. You know, I hated it.
A lot of negative vibes.
I got a lot of negative vibes from it. I'm like, this isn't even doing a good job of explaining why women feel oppressed. You're just stating what we say all the time about how women feel oppressed. You're not even like trying to change people's
Mhm.
minds about it.
It was a lot of
Right.
telling, not showing. It didn't do. It was a lot of telling you and not actually showing you, which is so crucial for storytelling, especially in film.
Mhm.
So
It's interesting.
yeah, 100%.
Tessa, anything to add?
What about the actress?
That's another one for me. Listen,
Interesting.
I don't.
Like
I feel like
do you guys feel like it might have been better or worse if someone else was in that role?
it's an interesting question.
yeah.
That is a very interesting
Because I have
question.
two opinions on this. I have
Mhm.
two opinions on
Okay.
this. One is the direction in which she was taking the character.
Mhm.
She was like stone cold. Like, I don't want to say this
Mhm.
because people are gonna think that I'm not a feminist because I don't like, but like she was like stone cold bitch the entire time. You know, no emotion. Period to anything. Like
Yeah.
she's even has this like relationship with Rambo. You know, I felt nothing in that relationship. Absolutely nothing. Like I was like, forced relationship. Here we are.
Here we are.
You guys are only friends because you were the only women in the,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And that was one thing I really didn't like. So I don't know if it's like direction or if it was because of who they picked as an actress. I don't know if it's Brie Larson that I don't like.
I don't know.
Or the direction in which they made her character go, which is stone cold bitch, I feel nothing for anybody.
Mm. Yeah,
And that's
Right.
all I got from her. That's all I
Yeah.
read from her.
it
You
did
know?
feel like
Yeah.
her character arc was like, I'm angsty. Oh, that's my backstory. I'm still angsty. Like,
It's like middle school angst. Like
Yeah.
her
Subtitles are like angst intensifies.
angst.
yeah, angst. Yeah, it was like more.
Yeah, because I didn't
Yeah.
feel her connecting with like Rambo's character at all, which Rambo is an awesome fucking character, by the
Yeah.
way. I didn't feel her connect to anything that Nick Fury was saying, you
Mhm.
know? And then in the very end, when she has this chance to have emotion towards this person who took her under her wing, which was Jude Law's character,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing. And that pissed me off even
Right.
more, because I'm like, she
Right.
can be a strong, independent woman and still have emotion towards this person. I would have been
Yeah.
more invested in the story if it was like at least a little more care to the people that she's been around, you know? Like
Right.
but there was none of that there. There was no emotion, period. And that's what makes a lot of the other Marvel movies 10 times better
Mhm.
than hers, because their
they
characters
felt
actually do have emotional
Yeah.
investment in the people that they're around,
Absolutely.
you know?
Right.
And
like,
she didn't, and that's what I
even-
hated the most.
Even Black Widow, you know, Black
Yes.
Widow's character.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for her film. I'm so
I'm
excited.
not.
to
I
see
have a
it.
different reason.
You have a different, yeah.
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 Yeah, but I felt like there was just a little too much ego in
Yeah.
in her character.
Smugness
I'm not sure
exuded.
if it's her or not. Again, I haven't seen any of her films either. Other than Captain Marvel is my first impression of her, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't us
but-
saying that Brie Larson is a bad actor
No.
by any means, because there's a
It's
reason that
just
they
her
picked her
approach
for
that-
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the approach, the direction that they
yeah,
took the character.
I'm not sure if that was more of her choices or the director.
The
but
director's choice,
I
the
don't know.
producer's choice.
might
It's
be a
hard to tell.
combination. But
Yeah, I think that was probably the most disappointing thing to me.
Mm.
Is, again, going back to like Wonder Woman and Black Widow. So I'm irritated about Black Widow's character for how she was introduced in Iron Man 2, which was as like a sex object, you know? She was like the badass chick, and they showed her changing in the back, you know? She wasn't like a person in that movie, in my opinion, you know? But as they used her more and more, her character does develop a lot of emotion. And even though she doesn't have, you know, the stone, she's stone cold all the time, you know, but you still see those emotions play through her. But like with Captain Marvel, it was like, you can't have any feelings towards anybody, is what I was getting through it. I did not feel a strong connection towards Captain Marvel, and because she's used so lackingly in the Avengers movies, you know, she's kind of just there. I still feel nothing for her, you know, like she shows up to kill Thanos, and then I'm like, I don't care. You could have just never showed up, and I would be fine with it.
Like, you know, it's like, all right, see you at Tony Stark's funeral, like, like,
right, and like, just it's the fucking worst.
Yeah, I guess it's so
What if she
it
is
feels
Thanos?
weird because it feels like she was really built up to be this like really important big character that we were supposed to care about, and it's like they were hoping that movie. It totally feels like they were hoping that this movie would just be like a classic origin story with classic
Like, you're
like,
gonna love it.
tropes that like they're like, all right, people are gonna love it. People are gonna like get the gist or whatever, and they're gonna love her because she's Captain
Got too
Marvel.
big for their
Yeah.
britches, honestly.
That's a lot of pressure too to put on everyone, you know?
Yeah.
I think
I'm curious who the writers were, so let me check this out.
Because I mean, honestly, and I mean, I can't say this with any kind of certainty, but I feel like when they released the movie, they were banking on people liking her more because she was a woman rather than actually investing into the story. They were just going to be like, oh, it's the first female movie. People are going to eat it up. People are going to love it. We don't have to actually develop
This
it.
disappoints me even more.
Oh, no.
I thought it was going to be like a group of men who wrote this.
Oh, but it wasn't.
Oh, no.
It wasn't. So there's one guy on the screenplay, and then you have 6 women working on it,
wow.
and one guy who worked on it. And all I can say to you ladies is, did he have more power than you did in the writing room? My personal opinion. Here's my personal opinion.
Oh my god.
I think... Here's my personal opinion on how I think that this movie went.
Get the behind the scenes,
Like,
and we're going to learn that our favorite scene was written by him.
Dang it! Listen, like, I am all for having women in the writer's room. I'm all for having women anywhere in the film industry, but like, this movie just did not feel like it was written by women. You know what I mean? It feels like it was guys writing about women. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It felt...
You know, that whole male gaze thing, and they're like, oh, we have to change that. We can't do the male gaze anymore.
Yeah, maybe they were like, women are always portrayed as like really emotional, so we're gonna make her like not emotional at all.
We're gonna make her like Black Widow. And then they didn't.
Yeah. I guess here, like, personally, I feel like, and this is just on like, when it comes to like feminist movies, I personally, it's like, I feel like it'd be more effective if it's like, isn't the point that you're trying to, it's like, the women are people, like that's the point,
right,
is to like be like, hey, these are actual human beings, individuals, and and then it just feels like they didn't do that they tried to fit it in some kind of trope instead of just actually making her a person.
What it felt like to me is it felt like Captain Marvel came out of nowhere. I don't remember when they started advertising her or anything, but it's like Endgame was coming out, like, no, Infinity War was coming out, and then all of a sudden they're like, Captain Marvel's coming, and we're like, what?
Oh, okay.
You know, and then Captain Marvel was released before Infinity War, wasn't she? Because I know Ant-Man and the Wasp came after. I think she came before.
Yes, I think it went...
No, she came after because
Fury War, because
Fury had that whole like thing at the end.
Yeah.
So here's where my thought process went. Here's what I'm thinking happened is like it was 6 months in till it was like 3 or 6 months, you know, whatever, till Infinity War was coming out. And they're like, shit, we haven't introduced Captain Marvel yet. Fuck. Get me some writers. Get me a director. Get me an actor.
You had a screenplay for that.
I thought, it felt like that.
Grab a pen.
All right.
I think the thing that really solidified it for me, I don't know if this is what helped solidify it for you guys for feeling like this film was rushed to high heaven, but the CGI in it was lacking a lot. So there's that whole scene where that thing is like crawling on her face to talk with whatever the thing was.
That thing.
That did not look real at all. Like, period. At all. And which is weird because Marvel has a really good job of making a lot of the things as small as that look real. You know what I mean? That did not look real to me. It like really snapped me out of it when that happened. Because all of a sudden you're like seeing this slimy thing like crawl on her face to go to her temple so she can go into this whatever thing, you know? And then it's like, I was sitting there watching it, and every time I watch this movie, I'm like, why does that not look real?
Like, huh.
This looks so
Yeah.
bad. It was like,
Okay.
I don't know, it felt like the movie was made in like 6 months, like from start to finish, like
Yeah.
script, filming, and editing was done in 6 months total, which isn't really how they do it.
Yeah. It's just
You know what I mean?
like, no substance.
And it also helped because she appeared out of nowhere. They were all of a sudden like, we're making a Captain Marvel movie. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what it felt to me. Because that's how I felt about Thor the Dark World. But even now that I have both of these movies to compare to, I feel like Thor the Dark World had more time than
Mhm.
Captain Marvel did. It's very
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I just...
Uh-huh.
Well, and
Captain
they
Marvel's
also
moved
had-
lower on my list.
Oh, and they had with Thor, they almost had an advantage because they already had established relationships that they could play with.
True.
Whereas this was like they were trying to create relationships that we were supposed to care about, and it just feels like the way they revealed it to us and the way they executed those relationships and how they affected Captain Marvel, it just like I didn't feel anything for them. Like, okay,
Yeah, I didn't really feel anything for any character.
best friend relationship.
I think
cool.
I think the only characters I really cared about was Rambo and her daughter.
Yeah, they were the best part.
They were the best part of that entire thing.
Yeah.
And they
That's
were in it for
literally
like 20 minutes.
Best part about Captain Marvel is how it sets up WandaVision. I don't know if I've already said that, but the best part is Captain Marvel is how it sets up WandaVision.
Man. They even had a great chance to have Coulson in it again.
Yeah.
They had a great chance to establish Nick Fury more.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I got none of that from any of it. It just felt like a movie to just introduce a character that, you
Yeah.
know,
I don't know about you, but
they forgot about.
I kind of... And they revealed that was how Nick Fury got his eye patch.
I was so pissed. I was like, are you
Right.
fucking kidding me?
I got
Yeah.
Ragnarok flashbacks. I was like, don't do this. Don't try to sully a dramatic moment with comedy.
Like, if we think back
Please.
to it, time to wash our brains back to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, when he introduces the fact that he lost his eye. He's like, I lost an eye to a friend or something like that. What was that
Yeah.
line? It was something like that,
Like
right?
someone I
Yeah.
trusted.
I thought he was talking about Pierce, the bad guy from Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? And instead, it's a fucking cat. I was so. It made me so upset when that happened. And some people were trying to defend it. They're like, it didn't like imply anything. But like the subtext
yes, it
when
did.
I watch the subtext when I watch Winter Soldier is that Nick Fury lost his eye saving Alexander Pierce. You know? Which would have been a better payoff than you hearing, I lost my eye to a cat alien who only scratched it like once. And that was it. And I'm like, that's so stupid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That cat was like the fucking worst, by the way. Like,
It was.
there's so many tiny details in that movie that just piss me off so much.
Felt like an excuse to make a lot of 90s references.
Right, I was fine with the 90s references. Were honestly the most enjoyable part.
Yeah,
of the
like,
thing.
all right,
the Blockbuster
Pulp
was
Fiction.
great. The payphone was hysterical. You know, the 90s clothing was great. I loved a lot of tiny aspects that had nothing to do with the story at all. Just like,
And then it's like,
sure.
like, okay, cool. Can
Put it
this,
in.
like,
Yes.
maybe have a story that I care about? Perhaps?
Yes.
How would you guys change it? Do you guys have any ideas how you would change it?
I would start with the script.
Tear that thing apart.
it back
throw
to
it in
the
a dumpster.
square
I
one.
would change some of the beginning and then get rid of the ending and then, like, maybe change the middle.
Yeah.
And then just
I would
kind
change
of
every line.
Copy.
Go line by line and change all
file
of
new
it.
document.
File new document.
Just like highlight
throw
it
the
all,
old one in the
and then
trash.
delete, and then start over.
Okay, so the first thing I would definitely get rid of is the cat. I don't understand the importance of the cat.
Aw.
I love the cat. Listen, the cat is adorable. I do not hate
Captain
cats.
Marvel.
The cat is Captain
Why
Marvel.
not? Honestly.